everyone and welcome back to the FPL Family YouTube channel. Now, as I told you in Sunday night's live stream, I am currently wildcarding ahead of the game week 5 deadline on Friday. So I have been tinkering around with that wildcard team since Sunday's live stream and that first draft that you saw. I'm going to talk you through the players that I currently have in that team and why they're there, but also I'm going to have a little look at the players that aren't there that I'm struggling to find a way to bring in, or that I'm thinking about bringing in replacement for somebody that's already there. So let's start with the team as it is at the moment. So this is them. So as you can see, no goalkeeper changes at the moment. I still think that Sanchez offers the best value for money in that goalkeeper position. I think at 4.5 million, the way that he's been playing and the level of clean sheets that Brighton are likely to provide. Of course, there is a slight doubt over Webster, which does worry me slightly. So that's something I'm going to be keeping my eye on over the next few weeks. But at the moment, and as the week goes on, I think Sanchez is likely to still be part of this team. I just can't see myself changing. I don't think I want to spend more than 4.5, and I do like the option of having a 4.0, so I'm not spending any real money in that goalkeeper position. But we've seen that Sanchez can return points over the course of the season, as he did last year. The defence is relatively different actually in terms of my team as it existed in game week 4. The only ones that kind of remain there are Trent Alexander-Arnold, who won't be going anywhere for probably the remainder of the season. I did toy with the idea of changing him, taking him down to maybe Robertson or even maybe Van Dijk to free up that additional money, which could be beneficial across the rest of the team, but I'm really not sure I want to do it. Every time I watch Trent, he looks so dangerous in those attacking positions, and I just can't bring myself to build a wildcard squad that doesn't have Trent in it. Alongside him is Luke Shawna. He's a player that at the moment I am quite undecided on. I do think he becomes a better option now that Ronaldo is in the team because he has that focal point up top to aim at, and we already saw him assist Ronaldo in game week 4, so the potential for him is definitely there. But the Manchester United fixtures do take a change for the worse from about game week 7 onwards, where I don't see that many clean sheets. But in the next couple of game weeks, I think they've got more chance of clean sheets than Chelsea have. So it might be that I hold Shaw for now and then do the switch to that Chelsea defender that I would really like in game week 7 or ahead of game week 7. Livramento obviously stays after his exploits in the early part of the season. 4.0 million. Nothing can beat that when you get a 4.0 million defender that plays all the time and also has potential for attacking returns, as we saw from him in game week 4. He is going to be going nowhere fast. I've added to these 3 with 2 new players. Williams from Norwich. Now, I'm not expecting a lot from the Norwich defence, but the fixtures are nice and there might be some weeks where I'm happy to play him. But fundamentally, he's a playing bench player, and that is what matters at the moment. I'm not looking to play bench boost chip. I'm not looking to need my bench, particularly in this early part of the season, particularly up until the first or the second wildcard window opens and the first wildcard window closes. So I think Brandon Williams is a nice pick. He's going to get a lot of game time. What's not to like when you're 4 million? That means I'm going with 3 at the back and mostly going to bench those 2 4.0 million defenders, but knowing that there will be some games where I want to play Livramento, there will be some in the coming weeks where I will want to play Williams, and it gives me a lot of flexibility, which I do really like. Semedo is a player that I just really admire. He and Sias are 2 that I'm really stuck between the 2 of. I think they both have attacking threat from different perspectives. Semedo is obviously 0.1 cheaper. That's nice when you're looking to build a draft and build a wildcard team. So having him at 4.9 feels a little bit nicer than going with Sias at 5. But I can see the value in both, and I can see the value in Marcel and in Cody also. So if the need was there, I can take that extra 0.4 out of him and build it into somebody else by taking one of those cheaper Wolves options. The midfield has fundamentally shifted. So I've gone from a heavy hitting midfield to just Salah and then some cheaper options. Salah won't go anywhere, but the rest of them I am completely up to going or staying. So Jota, I do like the look of while Firmino is out, and it makes sense with the fixtures that Liverpool have over the next couple of weeks to have that double up. So going with Salah and Jota, now that I'm not blocked from Jota by Simicast, makes a lot of sense. But the other 3 are definitely flexible. I've put Damari Gray in there for now on the back of his performance against Burnley on Monday evening, where I thought he was fantastic, as I did Andros Townsend. But Doucouré was also excellent in that game. And I think there are a number of players in that kind of cheaper bracket that could be the go-to at this precise moment in time. So that position is definitely open to change. It's also open to change upwards because, as you'll notice, I have 2.6 million in the bank with this current draft. Benrahma is another one that I'm really not set on keeping. Whilst I think that West Ham have been phenomenal in the early part of the season, and I do really rate them, particularly game weeks 1 through 3, we are now getting into that period where the Europa League is about to start. They're, of course, going to be playing in 2 competitions now, in the Premier League and the Europa League. We've got Antonio absent because of his suspension in game week 5. I'm not sure what that means in terms of Benrahma, and the fixture is against Manchester United. It is not ideal. Then they have a couple of nice ones and then lots of really difficult fixtures where I'm really not certain that I want to have the double up with Benrahma and Antonio. I'm not sure I actually want either of them by the time we get to game week 7. So Benrahma is a player that could potentially go, but I haven't done it yet because I have value in him. So I want to be absolutely certain that I want to lose him. But with the money that I have in the bank, obviously there's a lot of players that I can get to. Mason Greenwood is one that I am 100% looking at. Didn't play, interestingly, didn't start in the Champions League for Manchester United on Tuesday evening. That is a positive for him going into the Premier League fixture at the weekend, of course, against an Antonio-less West Ham. I think for the next couple of weeks it could be a good pick to go with Greenwood. Of course, their fixtures do shift in game week 7. And as you'll see from that front line, there's no Ronaldo, who I'll talk about in a moment. The other one then is a 4.5 million midfielder. I don't really think it matters who you go with at this stage. Skip is in there just because I don't think I'm ever going to want to own 3 Spurs players. Certainly not the way that Spurs played in game week 4 anyway. It's not that exciting, but I'm never going to play him. He is literally just there for the bench. And could Spurs keep some clean sheets and therefore could he get 3? Yes, absolutely. Do I think he's got more potential for 3-pointers than, say, Billy Gilmour, who was the original player I had in that position? Yes, I do think he does. So he's one that could potentially go, but then Billy Gilmour maybe not going to get those clean sheet points. But they have just signed a new central defensive player at Norwich, so maybe Gilmour plays a little bit more attacking. So that's something that I'm kind of interested to see how that one pans out. But I think you just pick one of them. Basuma is of course another option, and we all know that I do love Yves Basuma, but with the 2 Brighton goalkeepers in there, I do want to have some flexibility around Brighton, just in case there's somebody that I want to go for. And then up top, Lukaku's coming in because, well, quite frankly, I've been so impressed with him in his opening fixtures for Chelsea, but also Spurs just don't have a defence. It doesn't look like they're going to have a defence going into this game against Chelsea on Sunday. Of course, Eric Dyer went off injured against Crystal Palace in game week 4. We don't yet know for definite, but I can't see him being available for the Chelsea game. Obviously, Tanganga is now suspended. We have got Romero, who could come in, but he's still in Europe, having returned from his international exploits and isn't due back until Saturday, and therefore no training with the squad. That worries me a lot. I just think that Spurs defence is going to be easily got at from Lukaku's perspective, which is why I've gone with him over Ronaldo. I also think that Lukaku is the most now player in that Chelsea side, and I really want to spend my premium budget on players like Trent, like Salah, like Ronaldo, like Trent, like Salah, like Lukaku, who you know are never going to get rotated. They're never going to get left on the bench, which is what we see sometimes across other teams. Now, I don't think Ronaldo is likely to be rotated or left on the bench, don't get me wrong, but the fixtures aren't as good. And could he come off early to allow him to play Champions League football, etc., etc.? Yes, potentially, because they have got a lot of other options in those positions, particularly when Rashford comes back. So for now, I'm tempted to go Greenwood or Pogba over Ronaldo. That allows me the flexibility then to get with my Chelsea, one of my Chelsea boys early, meaning I can make the move for the Chelsea defender ahead of game week 7, probably in a switch for Luke Shaw, who I want to keep until then. And then Jimenez, I think I'm going to stay loyal to. I bought him in, of course, ahead of game week 4. Had opportunities, didn't quite return on them, but I do think that he is a player that has massive potential over the next few weeks. The underlying stats look good. He's on the goals imminent table from FF Scout, so he is one that I am looking at. But that 2.6 million is burning a hole in my pocket, and there are some upgrades there that could happen, particularly in that midfield. I think that midfield has a lot of potential to be really positive, with Salah, with Jota, potentially with Greenwood in replacement for Benrahma, and that would also allow me, if I wanted to bring up Gray or even to bring up Skip, although I think almost burning that third midfielder spot does make a lot of sense. So that's where I am at the moment. But there are, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, a few players that I think I do want to own eventually. These 5 are ones that are definitely on my watch list. Obviously Greenwood and Pogba, who I've already talked about. I don't have any Manchester City here at the moment. I'm not that worried about that given the fixtures right now, but in a few weeks' time, I think I am going to want one. Never really going to have the budget to get to the likes of KDB, who I think could be a great option in a few game weeks' time. But I will potentially have the money to go with I will have the money to go with a Manchester City defender if I wanted to do that, and if I wanted to go with 4 at the back. But that means a structural change to the way that my squad is functioning. And with those 3 up top, that's maybe something that comes when we lose Antonio, maybe around game week 7, and downgrade him potentially to somebody like Pukki to free up the money then, where I could upgrade one of those defenders also. So I changed from what is effectively at the moment a 3-4-3 to maybe being a 4-4-2. So Torres might be one for now that comes in alongside either or Greenwood, Pogba, and Jota, of course, too. So that midfield, I think, will have at least one of those guys that slots into it. Ronaldo is a player that I would really like to own, but budgeting for him at the moment is really tough given that I'm going with Lukaku. And Reece James is another one that I do really want, and I'm sort of thinking about him during this draft constantly. I think realistically he'll probably come in game week 7. I probably will wait on him given it's Spurs and then Manchester City for Chelsea. Do I see clean sheets? Not sure. Probably against Spurs, but maybe not against Manchester City. And so if there's not going to be a clean sheet, maybe I just wait, because Luke Shaw has got the potential for clean sheets and attacking returns in the next 2, whereas maybe Reece James is more attacking returns. So I'm prepared to kind of wait on him, knowing that I have already got the key man at Chelsea in my squad. So that's where I am at the moment. Obviously, I'll give you another update towards the end of the week in terms of what my squad is looking like going into Friday's deadline and how I am spending that 2.6 million, whether I am going to change my strategy completely, downgrade Antonio to somebody cheap now and then free up lots more money to upgrade in the middle, or whether I'm going to stick with this top heavy and then play some of these other players and upgrade maybe the likes of Ben Rama instead. And I think that's where I'm leaning towards right now. That's it then. Let me have a note in the comments to let me know what you think. Are you wildcarding? Who are your top picks for a wildcard this week? If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. And I'll be back tomorrow with my top points picks for game week 5. Thanks, guys.